bad copy.
Remember, it ain't who you know, it's who knows you. Are they talking about us? Shh. Wait, are they talking about us? I think I heard Past the Wire. Past the Wire TV. They are talking about us. Often imitated, never duplicated. We are everywhere.
Seriously? If you're betting horses and not watching these shows, you gotta be freaking crazy. Capiche?
You're watching Past the Wire TV.
Ciao tutti. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for tuning in to another Thorograph Past the Wire Race of the Week show on Past the Wire TV. We're coming off our first bad call last week in the Sword Dancer. And of course, I did what I always do, which is after a win, a loss, especially a loss, but after any time I don't see the ball coming down at the strike zone properly, I go back and look and try and figure out what it is that I misinterpreted or did wrong. And I'm pretty sure that I nailed it in the Sword Dancer, which, we hit 6 in a row spot on. 7th one, we tanked a little bit. I didn't think the other Godolphin horse was going to necessarily improve enough to win the Sword Dancer and beat his entry mate, Nation's Pride, which he did with a perfect trip and relatively easily, in my opinion. But what did I miss? What I missed was, and it's easy when you're doing a lot of races and you get caught up in this stuff. It's easy to kind of overlook things that you should know better than to do. First race in the United States for the horse, and moving from courses with a lot more give and a lot more playing them to a firm course over here probably contributed significantly to the horse moving up the way that he did. And he was a younger, improving horse anyway. He was a Godolphin, so we know he had some class. But I think that was my mistake in not realizing how much he may appreciate the racing over here, and that's probably why they sent him over here. When I first looked at the race, before I looked at the numbers, I thought, Buick might have went the wrong way, and the other Godolphin horse might be dangerous. I'm surprised he didn't go that way. But then when I did the numbers and dissected it, I said, no, he's on the right one. I was wrong. The numbers and the patterns weren't wrong. I was wrong and probably underestimated the move to the United States and the firm racing and just a different style of racing over here as opposed to over there. So we turn the page, we go on. Now, I'm going to apologize. The show is late this week. I wanted to do it Wednesday. I wanted to do it Thursday. I couldn't. I've got to do it Friday because I wanted to go to Del Mar. We've been doing too much Saratoga. I kind of had it with Saratoga. We're doing the Travis show, the deep dive, 30-second Travis show. You're not going to want to miss with me. Pay the Rent with Charles Trent, Nice Guy Eddie C, and Gio Big Gun Setti. We're going to do the Travis, 30 seconds, bang. And no, we're not just going to say sovereignty is a lock. So get rid of that. Be there or we'll come looking for you. You're going to like that show. But that's going to be live, I think, Wednesday night. But getting back to Del Mar, all right? Man, they must be having a hard time drawing the races because they didn't draw. I mean, the past performances were not out. If the past performances and the race isn't drawn, obviously Thorograph can't come out. So it didn't come out till late yesterday, which was Thursday. Last night I had too much going on, couldn't do it. So here we are Friday doing the Thorograph show on the the Del Mar Oaks. Nice race for 3-year-old fillies out there, 1.8 miles. The Del Mar on the grass. where the turf meets the surf. Why not? Like I said, we've just been doing too much Saratoga. I think we did every show from Saratoga. So enough of that. And I didn't want to do the Woodbine King's Plate on synthetic. Just didn't want to do it. So we went out west to beautiful Del Mar, one of my favorite racetracks and venues in the world. Love Del Mar. Breeders' Cup there last year, Breeders' Cup there this year. So we'll get right into it. Before we do, one last thing. I'm going to do another Thorograph show this week. It's an early look at the Breeders' Cup Classic. I've got the Thorograph sheets on some horses I think are heading to the Breeders' Cup, or likely or possibly heading to the Breeders' Cup Classic. And we're going to take an early look at the patterns and the numbers and see how that shakes out. And I think that's going to be really, really interesting. So stay tuned for that. I don't know when I'm going to actually do it. And the best thing to do is subscribe, turn on the notifications. You'll always know when these, new shows comes out, and it's worth it. If you haven't, you can go to Past the Wire, follow the Thorograph links to the Thorograph homepage, and you can get the Thorograph sheets for the Del Mar Oaks absolutely free, courtesy of Thorograph and Past the Wire. So if you don't have them already, you can get them and look at them after the fact. And if you have them already because you got them for free or you get them on your own, then you've got them in front of you, and we'll get right to it. Got a pretty decent sized field. 11 heading to post or scheduled to head to post for the grade 1 Del Mar Oaks. Slick, Phil D'Amato horse. Run as a 2-year-old, 15, 13, 13, 12 and 3/4. Comes back first time 3-year-old, runs at 10. We like that she has gone past her best 2-year-old number. That shows quality. That shows progression from 2 to 3. We like to see that. We like to see it's gradual 2 points as opposed to a 4, 5, 6 point crazy jump, which is much more indicative of a possible regression. So Slick has a forward moving pattern, a nice bringing along type of pattern by an expert trainer, especially on the grass out there. So yes, the question for her is going to become, how forward is she going to go? 8, 7, is that going to be fast enough to win the race? So forward moving pattern on Slick, we like it. 10, we know what the question is. Is she going to be fast enough even if she goes forward? Take a breath. Mark Glatt. Let's see this one. This one also ran at 2, 17, 16 and a quarter, 16 and a half. Comes back at 3, gets faster. 11 and 3/4, regresses. 16 and a quarter, but then regroups a little bit, gets some time off. Okay. And mind you, those races were all overseas. So since she's come to, this is going to be the first one, the first race in the United States. We got after the regrouping, we've got a 10 and a 9 and 3/4, and now the first start in the United States for Take a Breath. So we got that 9 and 3/4 in the UK. 10, 9 and 3/4, nice gradual forward moving pattern. We just talked about, the Godolphin horse last week, really liking the American racing and the firm turf. You've got to think that there's a chance this one is the same. That's why they bring them here. Hector Berrios rides. We know he's been lights out, especially on the grass out there. So I've got to say this is another one that's got a forward moving pattern. If she goes forward from the 9 and 3/4, is she going to go forward fast enough to win? I got to say she's coming in at maybe a 7 and change. Is that going to be fast enough? We'll get to that. Velocity from Michael McCarthy did not run at 2, at 3, 15 and a quarter, 12 and 3/4, 11. Pairs the 11s. Another one that we like the paired 11s. We like the gradual progression as opposed to the big jumps. Most of you know that about me already. That's one of my more significant angles, patterns, whatever you want to call it, that I look for. But this one's going to have to go forward more than the other two from that 11. So yeah, she's got a forward moving pattern. But again, And it's a grade 1. We expect a lot of forward moving patterns. So let's not be discouraged by that and say, oh, well, where's the edge? What do we see? Where is she going to go? And is that going to be fast enough becomes the question. She's got a little bit more to go than the others, but the pattern is indicative of forward move. Resolve. Let's see about resolve. Resolve, we got 19 and a half, 11 and a half, 11, 11 and a half, 13 and a half. A lot of races at 2, comes back at 3. Doesn't really go forward, kind of stays where she's at. 11, 11 and a half, 15, 13 and 3/4. I don't necessarily see a forward move, and I don't necessarily see her going past the 11. So this is the first one that I would say does not look like she's going forward. Looks like she's kind of established what she likes to run, and she's probably going to clock in somewhere around there on Thorograph. So looks a little bit too slow to win this to me. Lush Lips, I thought she was going to be the favorite. She's not on the morning line, but she may be by post time, but we'll see. Ships in for Brendan Walsh. Tyler Gaffleone making the trip to ride. 2-year-old, not setting the world on fire. 21, 15 and a quarter, 24 and 3/4, 11. Last race at Gulfstream was 11 on the synthetic, I believe. That was at 2. Comes back at 3. Pairs the 11. Goes forward 9 and a quarter. Goes a little more forward 9. And then goes another 2 points forward 7 and a quarter. Looks like she's going to go forward again. If she likes it out west and runs, her race at Del Mar the same way she's been running it at Churchill Downs and on the East Coast, 7 and a quarter. Are any of those others going to go 1 to 7 and a quarter? And 2, if she goes forward to a 6 or a 5, are they going to be able to jump that much more forward? I would have to say the answer is probably no. We got Slick, we said, was going forward. Take a Breath was going forward. Velocity was going forward. Resolve wasn't, but none of them really look like they're going to be able to run a 6 or a 5. They look like they might get to the 7. But if she goes forward, I think they could be in a little bit of trouble. Edge of Mali. No starts at 2. At 3, we've got 13, 15, 12 and a half. Looks a little too slow. Even if she does go forward, and I'm not sure she will, but even if she did, looks a little slow in my book. Will then, we got, as a 2-year-old, 23 and a quarter, a vet scratch at Woodbine, then runs back at Woodbine 12 and 3/4. Goes forward nice when she comes to Del Mar, 8 and a half. 8 and a half kind of looks like a contending number if she goes forward off that. But this year, what do we got? We got 8 and a half equals it. We like that. 8 and a half pairs it. We like that. Santa Anita, Churchill Downs takes her game on the road. But last time at Del Mar, she comes out and runs a 10 and a half. So if you could find a good excuse for the 10 and a half, I would say she can bounce back and get back to that 8, maybe even a 7. But if you can't find a good excuse for that 10 and a half, I'm not necessarily sure. I would say she's got a forward moving pattern. And again, if she does, it doesn't look like it's going to be, I guess if she goes forward past the 8 and a half, she can get to a 6, which puts her in contention. So I guess it becomes a much more important question to watch that replay and see if there's a legitimate excuse for that 10 and a half, or she's just tailing. If there's no legitimate excuse and you don't see a legitimate excuse, I say she's not going the right way. If you do, then I say she is, and she could be a contender, and she could be a contender at a nice price. She's 8-1 she's 6-1 on the morning line. Juan Hernandez is riding. He's been on fire out there. So that's a key replay to watch. I haven't watched it yet, or I would opine on it. Again, we're late getting the PPs. They didn't come out until very late. So it makes it a little tough to do these Del Mar races the way we like to. But it's a key thing to watch. Will Venn's last race. Legit excuse, contender. Not legit excuse, no. Firenze Flavor. This one looks a little interesting, but again, probably not going to make it. 14 and a quarter at 2. Comes back, goes forward, 11 and 3/4, regresses off that. We see that a lot. 14, she was also ranked that day. Goes back to the 11 and a half, pairs the 11 and a half, gets a little time off, comes back, 9 and a half. Probably going to run very close to the 9 and a half or a little bit forward, past it. Fringe player if she does. If she goes to an 8 or a 7, she gets into contention. And if nobody goes forward, if Flush Lips doesn't improve off her 7s, then this one becomes a possible factor at a big price. He's 15 to 1 on the morning line. Drayden Van Dyke is riding. He's not really winning a lot of races out there, but the pattern on this one is interesting. And this is the kind of horse that will get overlooked and can definitely, even if she doesn't win, make some noise in the triple and the superfecta, possibly even the exactive if she gets a little lucky. Kasalu, Bob Baffert on the grass. We don't always see that, but what do we see with Bob? Strong patterns, always improving. They come to run. And this one has been steady as a rock, but gradually climbing, and that's interesting. At 2, a lot of starts at 2. 12, 12, 12, 12, 14 and a half. Tails a little, but then comes right back, 9 and 3/4, 9 and a half. Comes back at 3, 9, 9. Pairs the 9s with space in between. Now comes back a little bit quick. She's come back quick and gone forward before. She went from a 9 and 3/4 to a 9 and a half. She goes from a 9 to an 8, 7, 6. Very possible. Contender on the numbers and patterns. Thought process. Might be the fastest horse in the race to date. At 2, what do we got? We got 15 and 3/4, 8 and a half, 8 and a half, 8 and a half, 11. At 3, makes that big jump, 5 and a quarter. Okay, I don't love the big jump. I like the more gradual jumps, but it's not too big where I got to say, whoa. But what happens, what we see a lot, she regresses off that big forward move. She goes from a 5 and a quarter to an 8. Now she comes back. Odds are she bounces back, third off the layoff, third start at 3. Odds are she bounces back. And if she does and goes past the 5 and a quarter, I don't think anybody is going to run that fast. If she goes to a 5, 4 and change, I don't think anybody is going to be able to do that. And Phil D'Amato, it's definitely very possible. The forward move was strong. First time at 3, the regression was expected. It wasn't dramatic. And now she figures to go forward again. Miss Fancy, what do we got? We got 1 start at 2, 17 and a quarter. Then we got at 3, 17 and a quarter, 13 and 3/4, 14 and a half, 13, 12 and 3/4, 10. She's now finally creeping up the ladder a little bit, but again, looks a little too slow, even if she goes forward to compete with some of the faster ones in here. So we'll recap it and see how things shake out. Slick, we think is going forward, or at least I think is going forward, but has to go forward off the 10 enough to be competitive. I'm not sold that she can do that. Take a breath, has to go a little less forward off the 9 and 3/4, first time in the country. I'm going to say that is possible. Going to a 7 or a 6, puts her in contention unless thought process does what it looks like she might do. But take a breath, yes, can be a contender on the numbers and patterns. Velocity going forward, but doesn't look like, she can go forward enough to contend. Resolve, we thought was too slow. Lush Lips, we thought is definitely dangerous, or at least I thought. I keep saying we. You don't necessarily agree with me, and that's fine. That's what makes a horse race. We're here to work together, learn together, help each other and try and take down this game when we can. Lush Lips has to go, looks like she's going forward, has to go forward off the 7.25. 7.25 would be a contending number in this race, I think. But, we've got Thought Process to contend with, and that 5 that she may run back to or go past. So Lush Lips can probably get to a 5. Major player. 2 points forward. Looks like she's got a forward moving pattern. East Coast horse shipping out west. They generally do well on the grass. So very, very dangerous. Edge of Mali, I didn't think was going to be fast enough. Will Then, we got that key replay to watch because, going forward off that 8.5, 2 of them, 2 paired 8.5s, then running that 10. If we got the legit excuse for the 10, this horse has to be considered. But we've got to watch that replay. And I wish I had, but like I said, don't blame me. It's really not me. Del Mar must be having a hard time filling these races because they drew Saturday's card late, which meant the Thoragraphs came out late, which meant I had to get up early Friday just to get all of this done for you. But my pleasure. Will Then, key replay to watch. Firenze Flavor. This is one that we thought could, possibly sneak in. Forward moving pattern, has to go forward off the 9.5. Forward enough to win. It depends what happens with Lush Lips and Thought Process, but definitely a price horse that's, not without a chance here. Cassaloo, another one that's got that, slow, steady, clawing their way up kind of progression. That's always dangerous, and it's a bob horse. So a 10-1 with Kazushi Kimura riding, and I think he's probably riding almost as good as anybody out there without getting any accolades for it. And I've said that for the past 3 years about this guy. I think this guy could really, really horseback and really, really ride. And he somehow, although he wins a lot of races at Woodbine, he seems to stay under the radar in California. Even when he wins and has success, he stays under the radar. I don't know why that is, but I like it because he doesn't get over bet, and he comes to play, man. He comes to play, this guy. So this is one that's dangerous. Thought Process, absolutely, I have to say, is the one to beat. A lot of 8s, and that 5.25, like that 5.25 is a winning number for this race if she runs back to it. And it looks like she certainly can, and it looks like she may even go past it. Absolutely the horse to beat. Her and Lush Lips, along with Take a Breath, Cassaloo, and Firenze Flyer right behind them. Miss Fancy, we thought was too slow. So there you have it. Thorograph Numbers and Patterns on the Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks. Again, we've got 2 that are most likely to win, and that is Lush Lips and Thought Process. So now what do? We look at the pace. We look at the trips. We got Will Then. We've got to pay close attention to that replay. And then we got the 3 price horses. Take a Breath at 12-1, Cassaloo at 10-1, and Firenze Flavor at 15-1. That are all not too slow to jump up and go forward and win this race, if that makes sense. And they do look like they're going forward. And again, these are Grade 1 races. We're supposed to have plenty of horses that look like they're going forward. And if we can eliminate as many as we did in this one, and we're right, that's a big help. And then if you go to your PPs and you can eliminate or put a few check marks next to a couple more, that's another big help, and that's where the edge comes in. But I think we know who's going forward. We know who the fastest horses are. We know who's regressing. We know who's not fast enough. So hopefully we could make the right late calls in the Del Mar Oaks. We got a race lens show up by Charles Pay to Rent Trent, previewing the Alabama. I know him and Gio did the Saratoga Saturday show. I didn't do it. They did the Skidmore, Alabama Daily Double. Hopefully they could nail that. So check those shows out. And mark your calendars. Set a reminder, Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, the 32nd Travers show. You will not want to miss it. Be there or we will come looking for you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We got a lot more coming. Let me know if you're okay with doing these Del Mar shows a little bit late, if you want me to go back to Saratoga, or if there's any other races. Maybe I think the Pennsylvania Derby's coming up. We've got some Kentucky Downs coming up, so we'll try and get there for some of these Thorograph races. But I don't get to them all, so I apologize for that. But, still let me know in the comments which races coming up you want me to do, so at least I'm looking at them and considering them. And then there's all other kinds of logistics that come into play as to which one we ultimately decide on. And I've been wanting to do a Del Mar race, for a while. So thank you all. Go get him this weekend. Knock him dead, win the photos, and we will see you soon. Ciao, ciao.
Knowledge. It isn't free. You got to pay attention.
And ladies and gentlemen, we direct your attention to the winner's circle for a very special presentation. Representatives from Handicapping for Horses, along with professional handicapper Jonathan Stetton, are proud to support the work of the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance and Old Friends. Accepting the check for the inaugural Handicapping for Horses event this past summer at Saratoga are representatives from the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance and Old Friends. Gulfstream Park welcomes Michael Blowen, Jonathan Stetton, Kelly Stovey, Jim Rhodes here this afternoon. Since 2012, the TAA has awarded more than $17.2 million to accredited organizations. Handicapping for Horses looks to make their Saratoga Springs event larger and raise money for Thoroughbreds Aftercare year after year. Once again, thank you to Handicapping for Horses, Jonathan Stetton, and welcome to Old Friends and our friends at the TAA. The Rainbow Six and race number 5 up next.
And they're off in the Kentucky Derby.
You're watching Past the Wire TV, the biggest races at the best tracks. From the Kentucky Derby to the Breeders' Cup. The best horse racing coverage is right here on Past the Wire TV.
Dynasty in motion, reshaping the sport's greatest tradition, channeling the legends of his line and surpassing them. 4 of the last 6 Derby winners carry his genes. A Golden Son, a Horse of the Year. Another chapter written beneath those iconic spires. Derby dreams fulfilled for the titans of our industry. From authentic to sovereignty, a legacy both real and supreme. Into mischief.
Everybody, Dan Oman here with some exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free, exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING, get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator, exclusively on DRF Bets.
Often imitated, never duplicated. If you ain't smooth, you ain't never gonna be a smooth operator.
Here comes journalism. Here comes sovereignty. And they square off, heading to the final four. Sovereignty wins the Derby.
You're watching Past the Wire TV. Hit that like button and subscribe to Past the Wire TV. Nobody does it better.
Are they talking about us? Shh. Wait. Are they talking about us? I think I heard Past the Wire. Past the Wire TV. They are talking about us. Often imitated, never duplicated. We are everywhere. Nobody does it better.